here at GW, and so this gives us a chance to get right into the substance of what we're doing. But first, I want to welcome everybody to GW and to the Institute for International Economic Policy, our host in this building. To welcome you to GW as a whole. I'm Stephen Smith, the former director of IIEP, but I stand in today for James Foster, who is in Britain at this moment. And I'm currently the chair of the Department of Economics, which has always been very actively engaged with IIEP. And this is a good example today in which Tara Sinclair, who's co-director of the research program on forecasting at the Economics Department, is one of the organizers of the program today. And we'd like to thank, of course, Kyle Renner, our IIEP operations manager, who's put together all the logistics for the conference. And instead of operations manager, I like to call him the operations wizard from time to time. So we thank him as well. Just a couple of words about IIEP. We're very active in our four initiatives, our four signature initiatives, along with many other areas, including China's economic development and U.S.-China economic relations, of which we had a couple of months ago, I think it was our 12th annual conference events, all of which can be seen online. We have initiatives all to climate change, perspective, global analysis of poverty and poverty reduction, and global economic governance in the 21st century. A topic that is rolling in its meaning, I think, as we go along. So it's a very active topic, but we look at global economic relations in general, and of course, all throughout this is naturally a theme on forecasting, because it's very difficult to talk about any of this, including poverty alleviation and climate change adaptation, without doing so. So we would like to thank you very much for being at the Mardi Dungey Memorial Research Conference. And with those words of welcome to GW, I'd like to turn the podium over to my colleague, Professor Tara Sinclair, who is going to give you the second part of the introduction. Sure.
Thank you, Stephen. So we're here today to remember and honor Mardi Dungey. And you who didn't know her, we lost her a little over a year ago, after a brief battle with cancer. And for a lot of us, that loss is still really fresh. But today is an opportunity to come together as a community, which is something that I think Mardi would really want us to do, and she was an example in setting that forward for us. And as I look around the room, and as we've gathered and talked already, as we've been arriving, I'm amazed at how many people Mardi has touched. And when we think about how we've been her friends, her co-authors, her colleagues, her students, a mixture of those all at once or over time, and the way that she's spread out around the globe and drew together this amazing community that we can see just a small representation of in the program today. And something else that just really struck me in conversations as we were planning this program was how even the smallest touch by Mardi could make a huge difference in someone's life. And so for my story, I actually didn't know Mardi all that well. But she came here to visit, to give a seminar when she was on her, what ended up being her final tour of the US and Europe back in 2018. She came here in March and gave a seminar for the forecasting program, and joint with our Macro International Finance program, because that's how she is, right? It's both econometrics and international finance and macro and everything. She came and she gave a seminar for us, then we went for a lunch afterwards. And the seminar was inspiring, but the lunch was extraordinary. And the conversation that we had swept everything from talking about, just professional advice, research ideas, life in different places around the world. And I think we all know that a little bit if our lives have been touched by Mardi, how much the those sparks just stay with us. But she also draws us together. She's like, did you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? You must meet these people. You must come to these conferences and get to know these other people and draw this community together. And so when we were organizing this conference today, that's really what I kept thinking about, is how much, even though she was taken from us too soon, we still have her in each of us, those sparks that she spread across each of us. And that when we come together and we talk about the impact that she's had on our lives, that's a way of continuing to honor that community that I think she really made in a special way, and that I hope continues long into the future, and that we can really revel in today. So with that in mind, I want to, first of all, for those of you who didn't know Mardi, I welcome you to read the tribute that Renee McKibben wrote about Mardi. Okay, and sorry. Renee McKibben and Denise Osborne wrote about Mardi, so you can learn a little bit about her and her impact. And for those of you who did know her or who were touched by her in any way, we have an opportunity for you to write notes that we're going to put together a book of some of these photos that we've been showing, other photos from today's event, and we want to include notes from us that will go to her family. So please take a moment. We'll have a space over here outside in a private room by the lounge, so you can take a moment to write a note just to let other people know how much Mardi impacted you. And then for today's program, just the range of material that we'll be talking about, because Mardi has a range of interests. We're going to start out with some econometrics, then we'll have some international finance, there's applied work, there's more technical work, and all of this together, I think, really captures well the research legacy of Mardi Dungey. And so, as we begin and think about having our first panel, I want to thank the sponsors for today's event. So Institute for International Economic Policy, and also the Research Program on Forecasting, the University of Tasmania. It's amazing that we have several people from UTAS here today who took this amazingly long trip to be here, and it's great to have you as Mardi's colleagues here. The Society for Nonlinear Dynamics and Econometrics, and the Center for Applied Macroeconomic Analysis at ANU that we fondly call CAMA. So thank you so much for those groups of people. And again, I think these are all groups that are going to continue to see the influence of Mardi in their programs, in their community and collaboration for years to come. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and invite, just take a moment to transition and bring up the first panel.